I'd like to make it clear from the start, none of these videos are done with any intention of harassing anyone, humiliating anyone, or to cause harm or anything to anyone whatsoever. These are just straight me documenting my conversations and recorded them with Dakota County workers. This one is done with Dakota County child protection worker Paula Pletsch. Paula Pletsch, you know what this is, but for the people that don't, I'll explain it quick. This booklet is the procedure and the process that a child protection worker is supposed to do and go by guidelines on whatever it is that occurs or whatever is brought to their attention, and whatever it is, whether there's drugs in the family or abuse in the family, so on and so forth, depending on whatever circumstances it is, on how they have to deal with it, depending on what the circumstance is. In this case, Paula Pletsch, Dakota County child protection worker, is supposed to be doing a child assessment on approving my minor child to be living under the same roof as Jeffrey Michael Watney, convicted child molester for molesting his own child from the age of 4 multiple times. Jeffrey Michael Watney lost all his rights totally to his own kids, but now child protection workers are going to sit here and doing an intake and an assessment on approving someone else's kid to go and live under the same roof as this convicted child molester, Jeffrey Michael Watney. Just go to the part where predatory offender. Reports on a person, household member who is registered or required to register as a predatory offender must be screened in as a sexual abuse allegation and therefore receive a family investigation report. This includes parents who do not reside in the house of the child permanently household. Every time there is a new child born to a predatory offender or lives in the same household as a predatory offender, a new report is required, needing a new family investigation. Minnesota Department of Corrections is required to notify local child welfare agencies before authorizing a person required to register as a predatory offender to live in a house where children reside in that house. So you could say it's a duplex, you could say it's the address is 101 and 103. If there are children residing in that house, you're supposed to do this and report this and have a mandate report done. I've already proved straight fact. If someone is using the same address, they're residing in the same place, they should not be using the same address if they're not. If they're receiving mail and they're both receiving mail under the same address, 103, that's clearly, legally, living in the same place. On their driver's license, if it says the same address, 103 Stanley Avenue, and not 101 and 103 Stanley Avenue, separate on both their driver's license, but shows clearly 103 and both receiving mail at 103, they're both residing in the same place. Legally, by law, Mark Mel, I've already pointed out and proved that to you. So Paula Pletsch, I don't need to tell you how to do your job. You should know what your job is because that's your job. And you should be trained in on what to do. And obviously you did not do your job. Because this is a child mandate report. Apparently that was done. Apparently this is a child mandate report that they did in 2018. Now this is supposed to be as I just explained for the people that don't know what it is. I explained all that on how it should be done and what the process and procedure is. Now, does this look like anything that I just explained? No. Not only does it look anything like I explained, it already says in here and states clearly, number 3, because Jeffrey has successfully completed his sex treatment, successfully, and has been living in the same house with Kayla for 10 years. Due to the child and parent interview on 7/20/2018, the Dakota County Social Services, there does not appear to be I don't know, whatever to Kayla. Jeff can have unsupervised contact with Kayla. This ain't no mandated report on approving them to live under the same roof. It says in here they've been living in the same house for 10 years already. 2018 this was done. So that'd kick it back to 2008. 2008 is when Jeffrey Michael Watney, the convicted child molester for molesting his own child, and Christina Watney bought a place in South St. Paul on Stanley Avenue, but wanted to claim the used address is 103 and 101. But on the mail they were receiving, on their driver's license, and even court documents showed both of them were using the same address as 103. Pointed out, made it clear to Mark Mell, which is the Dakota County Probation Officer Supervisor. Right here shows and states clearly, Mark Mell, Terry Olson. Terry Olson is a probation officer. Mark Mell is the supervisor. If this is a mandated report you got back, this would have showed clearly red flags, red flags, red flags. How was this done? And this piece of paper says clearly right here that kid's been living under the same roof for the past 10 years prior with this child molester. And nothing was ever done at that point. But you guys want to call this a child mandate report? Now let it go. Now let it go. Now one person never said anything or stood up and said, wait a minute, something was done wrong here. We need to look into this. We need to fix this. We need to resolve it. But instead, they turn it around and make problems for me. Make it like I'm the bad guy because I got to call and question and after finding out something like this about my own child. Not letting it go. I will not let it go and I will not stop. And whatever happens between now and then, at some point it's going to come to an end game. And someone's going to wind up looking into all this and looking at the records on it. And Paula Pletsch, you really think you did your job right? Because I'm betting my life on it. I'm fucking betting my life on it. You didn't. Listen to the recorded conversation between me and her. Me questioning her. Her response. Her literally laughing in my face and thinks this is funny. The significant damage that this caused me, my family having to deal with me on what I had to go through of not being able to see my kid and finding something like this out. The damage it's done to my daughter. For my daughter sitting there being manipulated. Fed nothing but lies. She'll never respect me as her father. I never harmed my daughter. My daughter was my heart, my everything to me. My court records, my filings, endlessly until the point they told me I couldn't file anymore. They're saying I was being vindictive, but not one time would they enforce Christina to bring my daughter for me to see her supervised. All my documents, physical proof on going through all this shows clearly, facts. Clearly, everything I did and everything I kept on doing just to see my kid, how much effort and everything I did until he told me I couldn't do it anymore. Otherwise, I would have continuously do it. If you don't know, you know now. I will not stop. I will not stop. And I will come to an end game on it all. We will come to a conclusion on this. And I will not stop until then. Fucking will not. This is my child. And the way my child thinks about me or talks about me, it disturbs me and it bothers me a lot. And there's no reason why my kid should ever think about the way she thinks about me or has thoughts like that. But if you guys would have done your job right and proper, it would have never came to any of this. And yet here we are again today and tomorrow and the next day and so forth until this gets resolved. Because nothing will be fixed or taken care of until that point. I guarantee you're going to be held accountable for your actions. Your supervisor, Stacy Devitt, was aware of the situation. She's your supervisor. She was aware of the situation. I talked to her. She needs to be held responsible too. Same with Terry Olson. Same with Mark Mell. Same with Jim Scoville. Every single one of you guys I talked to and had contact with and told you and talked about this and explained this and how you guys chose to deal with all this. Each and every one of you need to be held accountable and responsible for your actions on what was going on. These are people's lives you guys are fucking with.
This is Matthew Becker calling back.
Right.
I
did not make any regulation of your voicemail, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was referred to call you from Mark, Paula, or Mella, or whatever.
Okay, so it's the current situation or from years ago?
Well, it's kind of current for me because I was never aware of it or notified or...
Okay, stop. What's your daughter's name?
Kayla Becker.
How do you spell Kayla?
Kayla. She's 18 now. She turned 18 in May, so...
And you not be able to really tell you anything?
Correct.
Okay, so what is your question?
Well,
So like you were informed at the time of anything?
nothing at all. At any point or anything whatsoever. When I contacted probation, they just act like it wasn't a concern to theirs and tried to brush off on like it was Scott County's problem, and if Scott County approved, they just take over whatever they already had on the case, and they told them, well, the person's only been on probation pretty much in Dakota County, and my daughter wasn't in the picture or around him until after he was already on probation in Dakota County. So I mean, everything was resorts around Dakota County for him being on probation with Dakota County. And
Okay, wait. Where were you living at the time?
I've always lived in Dakota County.
Okay. So you're wondering, like, why you weren't informed of anything?
Right. I mean, the whole time I've had joint legal custody of my daughter.
Well, and I'm just going to do a blanket statement. Sometimes we're not provided with any information regarding a father. So it just depends what information, we have at that time.
So if you'd like to hear the rest of my recorded conversation between me and Paula Pletsch, Dakota County child protection worker, you can scroll through my videos that I already posted out there. It's on there under Paula Pletsch. I find all this extremely disturbing and just frustrating that a parent should have to go through so much and endure so much pain and headache and stress, and then to have things turned on them, to have police knocking on their door, threatening them, claiming Mark Mell he's in the process of filing a restraining order on you. You need to stop doing what you're doing, and you need to stop talking what you're talking, and you need to quit putting videos out there. The situation that this has caused my life by the courts not doing their job proper, the relationship it made between me and my daughter now and where it's at today. I get rumors and hear things like my own child is never going to have nothing to do with me or ever have anything to do with me, or if she thinks I'm going to ever see her or ever have anything to do with her, I need to take all these videos down and delete them, and I will not do that. I won't, not at all. These are showing straight facts, proof on what was going on, what was said, what was talked about, the questions, the answers, response. There's no miscommunication. There's no writing something down on a piece of paper, filing it with the court, and calling that fact or truth. But this is undeniable fact. You can't deny anything here. You hear it's straight truth. The conversation between the two people, not he said, she said. Not we didn't say this, we didn't say that. I will not erase it. I will not stop. I will not let it go until this is resolved or taken care of. There won't be any type of relationship, anything whatsoever between me and my daughter, because what it's been turned in and festered into what it is today, due to the courts not doing their job proper, by the courts not doing their job by procedure, by the way they're supposed to do it, by their own statutes, by their own guideline, by their own book on the way they're supposed to be doing it, by the law. If you got these laws and you got these standards and statutes that they're supposed to do their work by, and they're not doing that, then why should I have to follow them? Why should I have to be the one to just be shit on and fuck off and go on with your life? Nothing will change in my life. Nothing will get better. Nothing whatsoever will be different until this is resolved. And I know I'm in the right. I know I'm right. My daughter has no reason to be afraid of me or fear of me whatsoever. There's no reason why I should even have to sit there and point all this out and talk bad about her mother or her stepdad or anyways, she should not have to hear any of this. She should not have to go through any of this. If the courts would have done their job right and by the book and by the procedures that they're supposed to do it by, these are the things that they got put in place and the tools that are in place that the United States put in for people to deal with, and the tools to use to deal with problems like this in a courthouse, and these employees that are supposed to not do their job, I guess, but milk the taxpayers for what? To throw their money away for employees like this? This is just ridiculous. No one would ever believe any of this unless I recorded my conversations with them all. I will not stop. I will not let it go. And the continuous threats by the probation officer of him having the cops knock on my door and threaten me that I need to stop what I'm doing. Or what's next? What? You're going to throw me in jail? You're going to threaten me and put me on probation? Not one time are you guys doing anything about trying to defuse this problem or situation. But instead, you guys just want to fan it and fuel it because it's easier to make me look like I'm the bad guy, to put it on me, to put fear in me, to make me afraid, like I'm going to stop talking about what I'm talking about. I know I'm right, and I bet my life on it. I fucking bet my life on it. I'm right. Not only do I bet my life on it, it is my life that's on the line. This is a life I gotta live every day. While you fuckers just go to work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever the fuck it is. And then go home go to your home and your fucked up family, you know. You go home and tell your wife about, hey, all right, I put a child molester in the same house as a fucking minor kid that ain't his today, you know. Ta-da! You know. Boy, she makes you a good meal then. Otherwise, what do you get? Spinach or I don't know what? Fucking coal in your sock? I don't know. But you fuckers need to do your job right and by the books and the way you're supposed to do it. And if you can't, you shouldn't even be there. You're fucking with people's lives. I will not stop, like I said. I will not let it go. Whatever happens, happens. Whatever the end game is the end game. Eventually, someday we're going to find out what it is. Better sooner than later, so I don't have to continue to go on like this. Every day this goes on is another day I don't get to see my kid or be around my kid or even get to know my kid. And every day it fucking irritates me more and more to having to deal with this and go through this. Instead of you guys doing your job and stepping to the plate and look, wait a minute, you guys did something wrong. boy, I'd hate to see you guys take responsibility or accountability, or after I pointed out, not only to the child protection worker of her not doing her job right, but to her supervisor that didn't even call her out or look into it, or the probation officer's supervisor, Mark Mell, or his supervisor, Jim Scoville, or even the county attorney's office.